Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something pretty significant. It's about the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, the DTCC.
Oh, yeah, a huge player in traditional finance.
Exactly, and how they're, strategically weaving blockchain tech into their operations.
Interesting.
Yeah, our main source here is a Ginfinity article, DTCC's Centralized Blockchain Strategy. Think of this as your quick way to get up to speed on how a giant like DTCC is handling this new tech.
And what it means for finance generally, right?
Right. And why you should probably pay attention. The big question we're really digging into is this tension. Can blockchain, which is usually all about decentralization, can that really work with the DTCC's approach, which seems, pretty clearly centralized?
Yeah, that's the core issue.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the first thing that jumps out, and the article really highlights this, is how deliberate the DTCC is being about keeping centralized oversight. They're not, just jumping into the whole decentralized thing we often associate with blockchain.
No, not at all.
Their reasoning, it seems, it's really grounded in, the absolute need for regulatory compliance, clear accountability, strong security.
These essentials for regulators.
Exactly. Things regulators and the big financial institutions just won't compromise on. So yeah, they're using blockchain, but the idea isn't to tear down the old controls. It's more about using blockchain's efficiency within that existing structure.
Precisely. And this isn't just theory, right? The article gives a really solid example.
The Chainlink collaboration.
Yeah, exactly. The DTCC and Chainlink working together. Now, Chainlink, they're a big name in blockchain interoperability.
Like a translator between blockchains.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, letting different chains talk and share info securely. So they did this smart NAV pilot and involved some, heavy hitters, JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, Franklin Templeton, State Street.
Right, the big players.
And here's the really cool part. They used Chainlink's CCIP, the cross-chain interoperability protocol. Think of it like a secure messenger service for blockchains. And they used it to get mutual fund NAV, data net asset value, directly onto the blockchain.
Yes, and the results from that pilot, they really drive home why this centralized approach might work. What stood out, I think, was achieving standardized NAV data delivery.
Which is usually a headache, right?
Oh, absolutely. Sharing that data across different places, it's often complex, sometimes manual, so standardizing it isn't just neat. It actually paves the way for more complex stuff like cross-institution deals, maybe even cross-border things that were just too tricky before, too many errors.
Fewer errors, smoother process.
Exactly. And the pilot also showed better interoperability, getting these chains talking smoothly. That's, crucial if this is going to get bigger.
Makes sense.
Plus, automating those old manual steps, it just led to faster data transfer, lower operational risks, and more transparency in the market.
So it really demonstrates how these established firms can bring blockchain in kind of strategically without needing a total revolution.
Precisely. It integrates rather than disrupts.
And for anyone out there tracking specific blockchain projects, the article actually lists quite a few that might be well-placed because of the DTCC's patent.
Oh, which ones?
Some big ones. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hedera, Binance, Flow, Tron, Tezos, Cosmos, and Ripple.
That's quite a list.
So what's the takeaway from seeing those names?
Well, if you link it back to the DTCC wanting control, listing these specific networks suggests their tech, maybe their governance, fits better with a more hierarchical setup.
Okay, so they're compatible.
Potentially, yes. And that compatibility could mean more interest, more adoption from traditional finance players who want blockchain, but, blockchain that fits into their existing world. And like you said, Chainlink being involved just adds more weight to the idea that the tech, especially for secure communication between systems, is really getting there. It's ready for prime time in finance.
Okay, let's zoom back in on the traditional institutions. What's the main attraction for them with this centralized strategy? Why go this route?
That's really the key, isn't it? The article suggests this DTCC model makes regulatory compliance and auditing much, much clearer. Simpler, maybe.
Less scary for the regulators.
Probably. By keeping that central control, they likely ease a lot of worries for regulators and build confidence with institutions that might be, let's say, nervous about fully decentralized systems where control is less obvious.
Right.
And using things like Chainlink directly addresses that friction you can get between old financial plumbing and all these different blockchain ecosystems.
Smoothing the integration.
Exactly. The goal seems to be creating this kind of balanced space. You get the digital innovation, but you keep the safety, the control, the efficiency that traditional finance absolutely requires.
So thinking long-term, what does this DTCC strategy suggest? Are we looking at a total financial system reboot, or is it more like a digital upgrade to what's already here?
The article really points towards the second one. It seems the DTCC's main aim, based on their patent and actions, isn't disruption. It's digital enhancement of the existing system.
Evolution, not revolution.
You got it. That continued focus on a hierarchical system, with DTCC holding the reins centrally. That's vital for meeting regulatory needs and how big institutions operate.
Makes sense from their perspective.
Yeah, and look, this control-first approach might seem different from the original, maybe more idealistic, decentralization dreams of early blockchain.
Right. A bit ironic, maybe?
Perhaps, but it directly tackles the real-world issues of compliance and stability in global finance. So their long-term vision looks like a carefully managed shift to digital. Blockchain brings the efficiency, but centralized oversight keeps things stable and accountable.
This honestly sounds like it could be a really big shift. Just how significant could this whole centralized blockchain approach be for global finance overall?
I think the potential impact is pretty massive by giving a clear example, a blueprint almost, for how you can use blockchain innovation but keep it within a centrally controlled system. Well, that could really change how asset management works everywhere.
Like with tokenization.
Exactly. Creating clearer, regulator-friendly ways to tokenize assets, that could unlock huge value for both crypto projects and traditional finance. The Genfinity article basically wraps up by saying this GTCC patent offers a real path forward for global markets to evolve digitally, but in a way that keeps central control and makes regulators comfortable.
And they're building the tech for it too, right?
Yes, that's also key. They're developing a platform that's blockchain agnostic, even thinking about quantum resistance, multi-chain, specifically for tokenization and control. They're making sure they keep that central grip on rights, custody, how things are transferred. It signals a very intentional, potentially transformative path for finance.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for you. The main thing to take away here is that the DTCC is definitely going down a centralized path for blockchain and TradFi.
No question.
This focus on control, on making sure it all ticks the regulatory boxes. You see it clearly in their patent and in that Chainlink collaboration we talked about.
Yeah.
And this matters a lot. Not just for how traditional finance might look soon, but also for specific blockchain projects. The ones that kind of fit this model could see more action.
Precisely. And this whole centralized strategy, it leaves you with a really interesting thought to chew on. How is this specific direction going to shape digital assets going forward? Is this controlled integration going to genuinely spur innovation because there's a clear, regulated path?
Yeah.
Or could it just end up reinforcing the old power structures? You get efficiency, sure, but maybe not the truly disruptive change some people envision.
The trade-off.
Exactly. What are those trade-offs between the security and control you get from centralization versus the, open, permissionless ideas that started decentralization? It's a complex balance, and how it plays out could really affect the whole financial world.